smell of roasted turkey filled the house. Laughter echoed through walls that once knew love, and yet at the end of that long table there was no plate for Memmy's stepdaughter turned to me with her polished smile and her cold heart and said, no efforts, no food. She thought hunger would humble me, but hunger only sharpened my memory. That night I made a promise to myself I wouldn't raise my voice. I'd raise the consequency, or watching Silent Storm stories where pain becomes power and silence becomes justice. Tap subscribe because every heartbreak here finds its revenge. The fireplace crackled, but it couldn't melt the frost between. You see, had spent the whole morning decorating the tree, cleaning the living room, ironing the tablecloth that once belonged to her late father. But when the feast began, my name was nowhere on the seating list. Mother Hall, she said, guests only. Tonight, no efforts, no food. Her words were knives wrapped in silk. I stood there quietly watching the same child I once fed feed her pride. Instead, I walked to my small room at the back of the house. The laughter from the dining hall felt like thunder, each giggle another nail in the coffin of the woman I used to bathe. Boiled water and drank it like soup because that was the only warmth I had left. But I didn't cry. No, that night I prayed, and while they toasted to wealth, I started planning my silence. Morning came with fake perfume and shallow greetings. Her friends arrived in expensive coats, champagne bottles clinking like trophies. They were hosting a New Year's brunch. The stepdaughter bragged, this year we serve with style, but pride always forgets something important, humility. I watched her rush between tables, ordering waiters who never came, calling the catering company again and again. Her voice went from confident to cracked, and then her phone buzzed. Order canceled yesterday by Mrs. Hale. For a moment, she looked confused, then her face drained white as porcelain. She knew exactly who Mrs. Holloway was. I didn't mean to raise my voice because the silence of realization screamed louder than I ever could. Outside the window, snowflakes danced like witnesses. As across the road stood a small white tent. Beneath it, a crowd of homeless souls, and in the middle of them, May was serving hot meals from the very catering order she had paid for. Her roast turkey, her desserts, her expensive wines. The local news van stopped by. A reporter asked Mrs. Holloway, why are you feeding strangers instead of celebrating? I smiled and said, because love that forgets kindness isn't a celebration, it's a performance, and I'd rather feed honesty than pride. The camera caught her standing at her window, watching in silence, hands trembling, guests whispering. That was the moment she realized you can buy food, but you can't buy grace. The story went viral overnight. Headlines read, widow turns stepdaughter's feast into charity. Miracle sponsors pulled away from her charity foundation. Her husband's clients began to question her, and her so-called friends stopped returning calls. She finally felt what she had made me feel, alone, uninvited, and empty. Weeks later, she knocked on my door. No makeup, no pride, just guilt. Mom, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I softly said, no efforts, no forgiveness, and I closed the door. Gently, not out of hate, but peace. Months later, the same journalist came back, asking if I wanted to comment on her downfall. I said I have no revenge to announce, only a lesson to serve. When people starve you of kindness, feed others instead, because generosity is the sweetest revenge. As I walked away, the sun broke through the clouds, and for the first time, Christmas didn't hurt anymore. It healed. Comment below. Have you ever been denied kindness by someone you helped rise? Tap. Like if you believe karma never forgets. A hungry heart. Subscribe to Silent Storm Stories, where every pain finds peace and every cruelty meets its ending.